Hey there, this is my first YouTube live, so I'm just figuring things out a little bit. But I thought this would be a really nice format. So a lot of people aren't on Facebook, and I really respect that. I really do. And this will allow maybe to have just a more intimate chat every once in a while. So if you're live with me, just type in hi. That'd be cool to see. So, my intention for this video, so much has been happening in my world, as I'm sure is the case for many of you. It's May 2020, we're at the end of the month, and this was a full month of social distancing, of semi quarantine, waiting for the summer to arrive. And so that means for my business, things have not been as usual. So let me start with that, and then I will weave in my personal growth because it's totally connected always. So um, right when quarantine started in March, I was able to move a lot of things online. A lot of the courses that I was teaching had just started, so we just went online. We're not done for those courses, so we're still going to meet in person. That's going to have to wait a little bit of time because Sean's grandma is living with us right now. I'll circle back to that too. So I was just sort of in the flow of things, figuring out, okay, let's bring people online. Let's do sessions online, or postpone indefinitely. So I have a list of, I don't know, I think 12 names to get back in touch when it's time to do online sessions again, in-person sessions again. I haven't forgotten about you. And even if I do decide that I'm never doing that again in the same way, I will still get in touch with you. So those are some practical considerations here. So in the beginning, I just kind of went with the flow, figured it out, um, grieved the life that I thought was going to happen. Because what I thought was going to happen is that I was home for 5 weeks in between Mexico and our next trip. And those 5 weeks, was going to run Reiki 1, Reiki 2, Reiki 3, see all my clients. And then the plan was to go to Europe to do an amazing family vacation with my parents, my sister, her husband, and their baby. We were going to go to Spain. And then Sean and I were going to go to Uganda. And then Sean and I were going to go to the Netherlands, where I was born, where my family is. Hey, Angel. Wonderful. Good morning. Where we were going to assist the festivities of the 75th anniversary of the liberation of the Netherlands by Canada. So it was an amazing, amazing trip lined up, like trip of a lifetime. And as many of you know, if you're listening to this, we do trips of a lifetime all the time, but this one felt particularly epic. So I was kind of grieving that in the beginning, and also I kind of had it in my head that maybe some other personal changes are going to happen after we came back from Uganda that I don't feel comfortable sharing in this format. So all of that disappeared. So it's like my future that I'd imagined for myself that I was creating just broke. And I'm sure that's for a lot of people. And I'm really happy to say that I let myself feel the frustration, the anxiety, and the shaken upness of that. And then I let it go. And then I was like, okay, let's see. Let's see what we can do here. So I also had, I think, energy healing toolkit running, like everything was running. And so money was still coming in. I was wonderful. And then mid-April, I decided, okay, I believe that this is going to be for a while. And this is really the time for me to put my money where my mouth is. And what I mean by that is for years, years, I've been wanting to take this business online. I personally receive most of my sessions online. I love it. I think it's so powerful, not more or less, but um, it's incredible where you can journey within yourself when you have someone holding space for you, even if that person is on the other side of the world or the continent. It's incredible. And so I've been on the other side now. I've been doing the healing work with my clients there, and it's really been absolutely amazing. So, what I decided, the Canadian government um, has a program for self employed people like I am that if you lose your income because of COVID, which I 100%, well, 70% did. I think um, in the beginning, it took really a 70% hit. And I had to kind of flow with that. Um, so I decided to take 1 month, and it was absolutely legitimate. I needed it. I really did. And so I took 1 month from the government of that kind of aid. And um, that allowed me to take the space, to take a breather, and to get really, really real with myself. And so it took me out of complete panic and scarcity and, oh shit, how are we going to do money here? Which is super legitimate. And I think a lot of people went through that, to really, really connect with the inside, to go slow. I hired some amazing, amazing healer coach who I've known about for a while, who lives here in Montreal. But she was offering sort of quarantine programs. And I did that, and it was 4 sessions plus completely an energy session. And it was seriously, completely life changing. And I believe receiving that from somebody who does work very similar to my own opened my eyes to how valuable this work is. I mean, I knew it, I could see it. People transform, people change their lives through work with me. But it's something around, and I'd experienced the power of that through energy work before, don't get me wrong, but this time really was like mind blowing. I went for my darkest places. I really bravely examined all the relationships that are uncomfortable, all the themes that I've been stuck around for maybe years. And I went for them. And it was really hard, honestly. Um, it took walking through my personal hells, both accompanied, so in the sessions, but also in between the sessions, because she gave me what she calls love work. And so I would get this document to every session with some serious, serious, serious work to do in between. And I did it. This was my only priority for a good 3 weeks, really like scale everything back to my own healing. That's it. And it was tremendous, and it was amazing, and it was hard. I cried. I reconnected to my capacity to say no. And I do want to share a little bit closer what this is. So the first session with her was about, okay, I'm ready to examine this friendship relationship that ended very abruptly about a year and a half ago. And I'd noticed that I'd either been super even keel, super okay with that relationship ending. I mean, I was kind of euphoric. It was amazing in a way. Um, Also holding not a single grudge to her, like on the surface level, like super even keel, really truly wishing her the best. Um, and just feeling sort of like, okay, yeah, that needed to end. And so it is. And then I would access, when I really do my deeper healing work, I would access what I can only call as rage and hate and really awful feelings. And I'm saying "and" a lot. Becoming aware of that, where it was totally connected to this woman that I was friends with for a good 22, 23 years, and also totally not. It was about her and it was not about her. It was really about me in relationship. And it allowed me to see how I had created this dysfunction in that relationship and how I was really, really a part of it. And I had been able to see that before. I mean, I do my self work. I look at how did I create things. But this extra piece, I stopped blaming myself for it. I was able to see it neutrally for what it was. I was a bullied kid who'd figured out to be safe in that environment. I needed to befriend the strongest, loudest kid. And she didn't stay the strongest, loudest kid our whole lives. But at that time, she was. And for me to survive in that environment, I had to bond. And because I could see that piece, like going into childhood, going before I even met her, that these patterns were starting to show up, liberated the hell out of me. It really, really, really did. And I've always known that I have a lot to say about relationships and that I have a lot to teach about relationships. But without this piece, without me being fully honest about that teaching relationship in particular, I could not access that genius just yet. So that was session 0. I was on the discovery call with her. This got brought up. And then in the first session, we kind of looked at childhood. It was it was a walking through my life again, hunting for all the places that were still stuck in me, still hiding, really about hiding here, about shame. Hunting the shame is probably one of the best things I've been doing for a long time because it has kept me hidden. And it has kept me believing fundamentally that I am wrong and that I am bad up till 4 weeks ago. When I believed that, everything quote unquote good that I did was like a compensation. It wasn't because it just naturally flowed out of me, but it was because I didn't fundamentally believe it, so I needed to prove it to myself. So that really set me up for a lot of pain and a lot of beating myself up and a lot of motivation, go, 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 and then crashing, expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction. And I don't really remember well, I do remember, but it doesn't feel super relevant right now in this monthly roundup. I want to tell you about the last session. In the last session, I was like, shit, there's this one lingering thing. Well, yeah, actually, really, truly, one lingering thing. And it was sort of the biggest pain of my life. And I can feel there's still a charge about it, but I really feel happy that I can talk about it now without going into the specifics. I don't know if that'll ever happen. Biggest pain in my life happened when I was about 22. And it had to do with exploring my sexuality and accessing the wild woman in me. And it got out of hand. It really got out of hand, and it hurt some people that were really close to me. And up till retelling that story a couple of weeks ago, I had absolutely not forgiven myself. I had told that shame story to one person one time after it all happened. That reduced the charge by about 50%. It was amazing. It helped so much. But this time I was able to tell it again in a therapeutic context with somebody who has the expertise on helping women and men reclaim themselves and let go of their shame, especially as it pertains to sexuality. And sexuality encompasses so much. So yes, there's the act of sex, but there's also the intimacy that's involved, the trust, and the really the willingness to open to life and to have a very direct experience of life. Really, we as and we open really ourselves up. And so it really backfired. And that time it had been kind of building up for a while, and it completely crashed down on me. Like I said, biggest pain of my life. And so within this therapeutic context, she was able to guide me to see parts of it that I remembered, but I didn't fully admit to myself. And one of those was that before the shit really hit the fan, before everything did really blow up, I did say no. I said, no, I don't want this. No, 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 I did. And the other party did not listen to me. And I had been blaming myself for 10, 11 years. I really had. Doing my absolute best to heal, to learn every single little iota. But it hadn't been able to be complete because I hadn't seen how I also was a victim in that. I took on the bad guy role. And I think sometimes we do that. And we take more responsibility than is ours. And we think we're more powerful than we are, even if we're ultimately massively powerful. I do believe that experience sort of divinely perfect for me, for what I teach, for who I am to be in the world. But what that allowed me to do in that therapeutic context with somebody who has, I imagine, gone through similar things themselves, and I imagine held a lot of people through their own reclaiming of their own sexuality, their own being, they were able to invite me to say the word no out loud. No, no, no. And say it out loud in such a way that my body starts to believe it again. No, no. And for a week, I said it. I just said it. I just, no, 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 no. And this is something you might not expect. But telling that story, claiming my victimhood in it, and reclaiming that word, no, which I've been reclaiming for years, but with this particular story, wow, my no meant something again. I respected my own no again. And although I've been practicing boundaries because boundaries are my life lesson for years, a whole new loving, sweet, adoring dimension has been able to show up through that simple two-letter word, no. In my energetic system, this no has become a balm, a holder of myself, like a hug that I get to say no. I get to say no. And so I started saying no to things that don't light me up, that I don't want to have an intimate relationship with in my life. And it allowed me to tap into a deeper, more pleasureful, more erotic um, way of living my life. And really, this is where sexuality and eroticism, when I use these words at this point, it really has nothing to do with the act of sex. It really has to do with an energetic yes to life, kind of like having sex with life, as crazy as that sounds. Good thing I put like not for children here. um, Letting a life really sort of penetrate my field and it to deliver pleasure through it and not to be afraid of that directness with life. Because for my whole life, I'd been hiding behind other people that I thought were stronger, that could handle it more. And then I get really mad at those people because they they weren't me. They weren't making decisions I wanted to take. And it was really hidden in my psyche. I didn't see it till now, till the last few weeks. And so the sacred no has become just it's been an incredible love affair, truly, happening for me. So I've been able to say no to myself when I'm about to eat emotionally. I've been able to say no to myself when I start believing fear stories, scarcity stories, or I start rebuilding like, oh, but other people need me to be a certain way. No, no. I get to be me and I get to trust me. Huge, huge. So huge, 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 huge transformation. My healer coach at the end of the session, she asked me, like, do you think this is one of the biggest sessions? And I was like, no, they've all been really big. And it's so true. But this last piece, and I imagine that if you're listening to it, you might have something similar. You might have one or two events or blocks in your energy system that are really, really jamming the whole thing up. And I mean, it, you probably have very many, like just like everybody else does, and me too, but like the core ones. Um, and I invite you to receive this story as an invitation to let's start building up the courage and building up the team you're going to need to free yourself, because I promise you on the other side, it is freedom. It is radical, magical freedom. And if you would like somebody who just recently went through that to hold space for you, I'm totally here. Just get in touch. We can build a custom program around it for you if you like. Yes. So what did I do then? I had access to myself again, to my truth again. So I decided to claim my full story. And I went live on my Facebook group, the Healing Revolution Community. If you're not there and you are on Facebook, definitely join us there. It's a nice space. I went live one night. I was like, okay, I'm going to tell people the story, much like I'm doing now. And because I discovered I love telling stories and I love telling my own stories. It's kind of what's been missing this whole time. And I've built build relationships where I can share in these terms. And I'm so grateful for that. And I know it doesn't go just one way because yeah, anyway. So I had in mind, all right, within the energy session I had done with her, there was this imagery of like me like trying to give my crown away. Super, super, yeah, absolutely. Um, and so I decided I'm going to firmly plant that crown on my head by telling my story, about owning my story. And I'm going to go live at 8 p.m. tonight. I'm going to tell them everything. I was nervous and scared and excited that I was going to have the crown. I I ch- I asked one of the neighbors who has three young girls if she had a crown, and I asked her, it has to be queen like, not princessy. So I went over, social distance respecting, and I had a look and they were princessy. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to make my own crown. And so I found a template on the internet and it took so long. It took like an hour and a half to make that crown. But making it, the process of it was everything because I had a vision and I stuck to it and I did whatever it took for that to happen. So I went live, and after a full hour, I had only gotten myself out of childhood and teenagehood. So I realized, okay, I'm really telling this thing in detail. And it's here on YouTube if you want to be in the Inga world for a little while. So I did that. I wore my crown. I sat in my own sovereignty. I told the story. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm not done. I'm going to tell the rest of the story tomorrow. So I got on the live stream the next day and I realized, no, there's more. So I'm going to tell the rest of the story tomorrow. And then on the third day, I went for 2 hours, just finishing the story. And I realized so many things doing that. One, I could see the themes of my life clear as day. Codependency, trusting my intuition. That was really a big theme. Getting out of comfort zones, big theme. My love affairs, big theme. My friendships, huge theme. Relationships, really, really, really big time. And not telling the truth. Being nice over truthful. That is a huge, huge, huge theme. My whole life. Becoming an energy healer, one of the things that was hardest was the intuition part and starting the voice, the intuition parts. Tough. And I learned to master it within my energy healing sessions, but in my real life, I hadn't really figured it out just yet until now in my life. Oh my God, it's such a work of art. Now that I am mastering that. So I could see for myself, what was I about? What is my real work beyond the techniques? The techniques are amazing, but they've been a way for me to hide. They've been a way for me not to directly enter into a healing relationship with you. God place Reiki in between us, energy healing toolkit, many, many different things. in between us. And in my one-on-ones, I don't do that. My one-on-ones, I really just channel whatever needs to come through in that moment, and it seems to work really well. But in my teaching, I could see how I had pulled in like a new something to hide behind. And I've been yearning to teach something that is really my own. The energy healing toolkit is a way closer to that, but I'm still piecing together, um, different tools that I have learned. But I'm really proud of that program. And if you haven't taken it yet and you do want to keep going in the healing modalities, I really invite you into that. It is um, it is so yummy. It is so good. It's I'm really proud of that work because it brings you into your own healing. You become responsible for your own healing whilst also being thrown out of your comfort zone, and you learn to guide others. Plus, you've got me holding space and sort of dropping in the little awarenesses I see need to be dropped in. So over 6 weeks, you really get to transform. Of course, you get out of it what you put in, but it's good. That's really good. I'm really proud of it. And now it's time for me to get even more close to the truth, more close to what me, Inga Brewer, Inga Brewer, have to offer as a teacher. And so slowly, I've unpeeled the layers for that to come into my awareness. Yeah, let me tell you about that right off the bat, and then I'll circle back to the experience and how amazing that's been, but not talking too much about it because it's sort of sacred, really a sacred experience. So what's starting to come true what's starting to come through as a program that I want to hold is soft and true, because I know almost everybody who's done boundary work has gotten confused along the way because we start somehow to think that it needs to be harsh, or boundaries are cruel in some way. And really, the opposite is true. And you know how we have these expressions like the harsh truth? I don't believe that that is the only way to tell the truth. And I really do believe, on the other hand, that the truth sets us free. But what I've been learning, what I've been working on for myself this whole time is how to stay gentle and kind with myself no matter what. And then I kept getting stuck around the boundaries piece. And I it's become clearer now to me how to do boundaries also in a gentle and soft way for yourself and the people you're in relationship with. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Um, what I'm inviting you into in this program is really a lot of truth telling for yourself, um, a real understanding of the sacred no, the sacred yes. Hmm. And starting to value your own truth, your own being enough to stand up and to create what your own self, your own being yearns to create, is made to create. So it touches on themes of your purpose. And what I'm noticing here is that there's a lot of terms that have made me cringe. And I think they've made me cringe because I have something to say about it that is actually a little unique and a little different. Um, so let me name those themes that I have been learning for over consciously, maybe 8 years unconsciously, how my whole life is set up to learn these things. Well, 32. I'm 32 years old. Finding your purpose. That makes me cringe to um, the moon and back. But there is something to it, and I do believe that we have, or we can choose to have purpose, or that we value certain things enough that when we pursue those aspects of what we value, we don't mind putting in the long hours. We don't mind telling ourselves a really uncomfortable truth. We don't mind making sacrifices for it because it just feels so true and valuable and right to us. So for me, I think the healing work and the expressing the healing work is one of those. It's gonna need to be expressed. I do buy into that my moon is in Gemini and therefore I must, even if my whole life I thought I was a quiet person. I'm not. Not really. So finding your purpose is definitely part of this program. And the other thing is your worth. That also makes me cringe a little bit because in a way, like if we use that concept, we sort of give it weight and we believe that that concept has something to, like, we can either be, yes, worthy or not worthy. And I think that's the most absurd, dumb story we can tell ourselves. And we all do it. And a lot of our, I don't know what to call it, but in the collective conversation, there's a huge conversation around worthiness. And I think it's an important one to have. And it's also that once we start having that conversation, we can start being like, well, I don't feel worthy or I don't feel deserving. And that is actually has nothing, it actually has nothing to do with you receiving what you want to receive in this world. And I know that's radical. It's like flies in the face of everything that we've heard, but I do stand by it. And I want to dig deeper into what this worthiness thing means because I bought into it. I did. And I think I can blow this conversation up now because I'm no longer in that mind frame. And I would really like to blow that up for those of you that are really in that mind frame. Oh, I don't deserve nice things. I am not worthy of nice things. It's absurd. If you value it, then it's yours. You're coded for it. You do good in the world by being surrounded by what you value. Totally, totally absurd thing. So I want to blow that kind of thing up. And that's going to take some time. And it's going to take some real precise wording. And it's going to take some applying that in your own lives. There's also, yes, boundaries. I hate that word because I've been told for years I need to have better boundaries. And I just, like, I could understand it mentally, but I couldn't. And I could understand it energetically as well. And I was going to having some success with it. But at the depth that I understand it now, where boundaries to me are like the softest, sexiest, delightfulest little energetic support that we can have in our lives. And that's the kind of conversation I want to be having. And again, that's going to require a bigger container than what I've held in my teaching programs so far. And so if you really want to be having these conversations as well, then we need to talk. Um, so the program is developing, and what I'm learning to do is really listen to my intuition on aspect, every single aspect of creating something like this. So for now, my intuition saying, leave it at that. Leave it at what you want to have as a conversation. and just plant the seed that it's going to be a 9-week program. And there's different options with different levels of access to me. Of course, the more access to me you have, the deeper we can go into this work, the more we can apply it directly to your life. And that's another theme that I'm so passionate about at this time is the work needs to be done in this specific, granular, real life. Non-negotiable. We can talk about concepts forever. And you can write a book about the concepts. But as long as you're not applying them in your life, and this is hard, but as long as you're not applying them to your life, you remain stuck. You remain uninspired. And you remain living in the small life that you've told yourself you're okay with, but you're not. That's another fucking lie we tell ourselves. I'm okay with the smallness. We are all built for our own version of our biggest life, and that doesn't need to look like rich and famous for everybody. I feel like for me, yes, I think that's what I'm coded for. A little bit of a scary thing to claim, but again, that's just I'm put on earth and with a certain work to do, and that means I maybe need to touch a lot of lives. I'm definitely not coded for Beyonce level of fame, though. Smaller, way smaller. But so are you. You are coded for what you're coded for, and we are not to judge what that looks like on the outside. We can't judge that. But telling yourself the lie that this is your absolute best life, it's a lie. For 99.99% of us. And you might be well on your way, and that's awesome. But there is an iteration of your life that happens on the other side of applying these concepts in your life. So whatever I'm building is going to take that into account and is going to require of you getting down into the nitty-gritty. So that might mean looking at how you eat, looking at how you talk to your loved ones, looking at how you tolerate friendships that aren't nourishing you, etc., etc., etc. So I do hope that scares you a little bit, because that fear shows you there's something on the other side. So I think that's pretty much it for the monthly roundup. I do want to just do a big shout out to everybody in the experience. Holy shit, right? What's been moving in there has been amazing. And I really thank you all for your trust in my intuition, not my smile person, but my intuition. And there are elements of what I've created in there that will definitely be showing up in the 9-week program, Soft and True, because I've learned so much from it. And I also want to name how I've been experiencing the experience as a participant as well. And that has been radical. And I believe I want to keep doing that, both holding space, because I am an incredible space holder. I'm starting to see that. And I'm so good at holding space, I can hold space for myself at the same time. I might play with that. There might be times where I do and where I don't. But that now becomes an option. And this program that I'm creating is something that I want. I want this program to exist for me. So that's going to be it. So 45 minutes of my month, and I didn't even touch on a lot of things, but that's okay. Moving forward into June, what's happening? Well, I'm saying no to in-person sessions, in-person courses, at least for now, because we have taken in Sean's grandmother. Sean is my husband. Because this is what I mean about doing the work in your life. I really believe that it's not okay to let our elders be so profoundly lonely. And so I value that, and I value this woman. She's a tough German 94-year-old lady with a great sense of humor and a sharp mind and in relatively good shape for a 94-year-old woman, even if she can't see it and she's struggling with not being in shape that she expects herself to be. And I'm watching what it looks like at 94 years old if you've been hard on yourself your whole life. And it's an awakening. It's an amazing thing. So I'm letting her activate me and heal me and take me through this process of what it's like to be an end of life. And because of the whole COVID situation, there's no way I'm endangering her by bringing people into the home. But that's really not the only reason. I've stated the rest. It's more true to myself to work online. It's more soft. I get to care for myself better, higher levels. And what I think I might do is I would still want to use this space. I still want to bring people in, but I think I'll create more sort of luxurious, deep healing experiences here. So having a client come in for 2 hours instead of shorter and really setting a higher price point, but setting ourselves up for that 2 hours to be completely radically life changing. So those are some ideas brewing in my mind. If you've been in the Reiki containers that have ended, save for our in-person meeting, just stay tuned. There for sure, of course, I am honoring that. We will do that. And what else do I want to say? Yeah. Um, it's not a new normal, even if personal services are reopening. Um, I'm still fully in the midst of creating my most beautiful work of art in my life. If finally just a little, no, yes, I'm checking with my intuition. Um, if soft and true speaks to you, just get in touch. I don't yet have a sales page. I'm allowing this to come through softly and truthfully. Um, but do get in touch because um, I do want to tell you the price points, what's available, so you can start busting whatever lies you're telling yourself about investing in yourself. Okay. Thank you to the three of you that were with me this whole time. That's just amazing. And I love that the one like showed up at the one moment. I was like, oh my God, what I'm saying is so controversial and unpopular. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. Very cool. So if you want to just type in to let me know who was here, that'd be really cool. If you have any questions about anything at all, I'm happy to stay on for a little longer to let my vast expertise serve. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. I'm so happy because that really freed me to start seeing that in a totally different way. Yeah. Cool. All right. Um, I'm going to be doing this as a monthly thing um, because it's fun. And because I like connecting with you on this sort of more real level. Like I said, I don't want to hide behind a role or a person or a technique anymore. I am me, and there's a lot of value that can stream through that. Doesn't mean I'm more valuable now. Okay. Bye. Have a wonderful day, evening, whatever time it is for you. Yes, right on time. Yes, absolutely. Please do. Mhm. Mhm. So you've been doing a lot of work, deep meditations, much project progress for sure, yeah. But maybe I'll start talking about a little bit around that already while I wait for the rest of your question. Meditation, chakra work, Reiki, they're so good. They're really good because they go directly into the energetics where we're stuck. But I think part of what gets often missed is that once that energetic opening, that healing has happened, um, it is really beautiful to put that into practice right away, too. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you keep coming back to this sort of pattern where you separate yourself from what you want by believing that you cannot be truly wanted by another person, not welcome. Keep dating sounding, but notice that I have similar assumptions at workplace, thinking that I'm very different. Yeah, totally. Okay, let me tune in to that and get comfortable again. Um, yeah, what's the question? I totally hear you. And I think you're not alone. I think let me start by saying that one of the things that has shown up during the experience, which is a 10-day online free event ending tomorrow, is that a lot of really good, smart, lovely people don't believe in themselves. And that is one of, to me right now, I see that as one of the biggest wasted resources there is. Yeah, not sure how to tackle this assumption. Okay, let me see. It's a really tough one. Um, okay. One of the things that has helped me tackle that, because I had some form of that for sure, is to test those assumptions in real life. So let's say you believe that you're the weakest link in the business, or nobody wants you, dating wise, is to actually become really truthful about what you want. Because here's the thing, and I don't know if this is going to resonate for you, but this is really something that happened for me, is that I didn't allow myself to think or ask myself what I wanted because I was so preoccupied about the other person accepting me, even if it was a relationship I didn't want. So in the dating sphere, I wasn't so terrible here, But it took me forever. Like I was always being chosen, and when I was chosen, I was like happy to be chosen because I did like it well. I showed my value, I showed my worth or whatever. Um, but it took a long time for me to realize that I actually have a choice too, and I'm choosing the other person also. So if it wasn't up to my standards, that it was okay to walk away, and it has nothing to do with you not being good enough. It actually might have to do with the job not being interesting enough or challenging enough, or the other person you're dating not being the person for you, which is turning it around completely. Oh no, I hear my hamster is lost. Um, that's a whole other story that happened this month. It's crazy. Um, so like turning it around and what you want actually matters. And then if you know you want something, go for it. Put yourself into the places where it's uncomfortable, where you're not sure you're good enough, or you're not sure you're um, valued enough. But because it's now coming from a real, true place and not like, okay, my whole family has valued, I don't know, gardening, and I don't like gardening. But now I think I'm a terrible person because I don't like gardening. And so I'm not good at gardening. So there's probably something deficient with me. But this whole time you weren't supposed to be gardening. Right? So that's like one little element. Really like a flip there. You can tell me if that resonates and I double check. Yeah. Okay, good. Good. It does. Perfect. Um yeah, so you really want to get really truthful with yourself about what it is you're creating in your life. And then it's like a non-question whether you're worthy or not, or it's just this is what you're creating. There's no questioning of it. And that might mean yeah, you need to sort through things, but the question becomes entirely different. And this is where really doing it in your life is totally important. I'm not sure this is I think all the inner work that most of us have been doing is really helpful, but to get to the root and the core of it does not um, does not do it. It doesn't get there. We really need to put it in our lives. So because I just realized that my hamster is lost, I feel like I need to sign off. Thank you for that question. Um, yeah, if you want to, yeah, good. Have an amazing day, everybody. Bye. Sean, what happened?